what exactly this India-Australia relationship means. Is there any specific grants or any benefit from the government side in terms of the growth of the business?
Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, when he came to Australia in 2014, they signed about 9 agreements.
The migrants community, that how they can benefit out of this trade agreement. Person wants to start a business and want to take benefit of this India-Australia trade agreement.
Yeah.
Is there any example you can share? Do you think that putting that hold on that business migration is affecting the growth between that India-Australia?
Australia and India politically are strong mates. Pharmaceutical industry is estimated something like $15 billion.
In terms of this trade agreement, like for example, if there is no trade agreement, then how it happens? What is the extra benefit they are getting?
You're doing something for your Janmabhoomi, which is India, and one for Karmabhoomi, which is Australia. Inviting other nations to manufacture their products in India, encouraging more investment opportunities for Indian companies. By 2030, we want to achieve $100 billion, both Australia and India, how they can support each other. The objective of the Make with India, a visionary project.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Legal Mangal. Today, our guest is Mr. Vish Viswanathan, who is Industry Chapter Chair from Make with India with Australia-India Business Council. A very warm welcome to Vishwanathan ji. Thank you so much for joining today. First of all, I want to ask you that what exactly this India-Australia relationship means.
Thank you, Mr. Manmohan. Small introduction to Australia-India Business Council and the Make with India Industry Chapter, which is I'm heading. Australia-India Business Council is more than 35 years old, and it was founded by Mr. Bob Hawke as well as Sri Rajiv Gandhi, the Indian Prime Minister. And it is a non-profit organization which has been there, primarily established to promote trade between India, bilateral trade. And the organization has got established in a number of cities in Australia, like Sydney, Canberra, then you have Brisbane and Melbourne, Perth, Adelaide. So covering all the important states of Australia. It's like a big body which has been there. In the last few years, I've established industry chapters, a number of industry chapters, starting with the Make with India chapter. Then we have infrastructure and critical energy, and we have defense and security. Then we have sports, we have health, a number of industry chapters are there. So my specific role is to promote the concept of Make with India for the Australian businesses. Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, when he came to Australia in 2014, and around the same time, he had initiated a visionary project. Basically, what it means is he was inviting other nations to manufacture their products in India and take it back. So, doesn't matter where you are selling, but it make it in India. So that is the concept. So when this concept was approved, in fact, very much endorsed by more than 150 countries, even in those days. And Australia also was there. In the past, there used to be some terminologies, cricket, curry, and Commonwealth. So now we can extend that to complementary. There is also complementary in the sense both Australia and India have got equally good in technologies and capabilities. How they can support each other. So that is the objective of the Make with India.
No, thank you so much. And I've seen lots of your speeches and your posts on LinkedIn. Like you always try to promote this one because your main role is Industry Chapter Chair to promote that Indian-Australia relations. The area which I wanted to touch base is the migrants community, that how they can benefit out of this trade agreement. So what is the purpose or what is the benefit, what the small scale businesses, they can take benefit out of this trade agreement, which nobody's aware of what exactly is happening. They can take a benefit of it. So what are those benefits they can take?
Yes, absolutely. You asked a very important question, but before I go into that, I want to give some highlights of the growth of the trade which is happening between India and Australia. As I said, Prime Minister Modi visited in Australia in 2014. He was the Prime Minister after 11 years. Before that 11 years, no one from India visited. So when he came, and there was a lot of enthusiasm in the migrant community here, as well as the good impression about India and its capabilities was generated with the Australian community as well as Australian businesses. So that has sort of paved the way to sort of growing trade relation between India and Australia. And in fact, I would say that it has been growing geometrically higher. I mean, it's not double or triple, it has been growing. For example, in those days, it must have been 10 or 12 billion. And then in 2019, it was 19 billion. And then in 2022, it is double. It is 39 billion. It's important to say that in 2020, Scott Morrison was the Prime Minister of Australia and Narendra Modi ji. It was a COVID time. Remember that people could not even visit each other or, Even in that time, the trade has been growing. So, and also nothing would stop, none of these pandemics would stop the trade growth. So with that vision, both the Prime Ministers have signed a comprehensive strategic partnership agreement. It's very important because Australia and India politically are strong mates. I mean, a lot of friendship is there because we speak the same language, English, and then our understanding, our culture, and our democratic systems are identical. An important thing is to note between Australia and India relationship is, irrespective of which government is in power in Australia or in India, the relations have been growing.
That's right.
So politically, it has been receiving a bipartisan support both from Australia as well as in India. So it is a very strong point. So as you can see, after the comprehensive strategic partnerships, they signed about 9 agreements, including defense and security, because India also has become a member of the Quad Alliance. So it becomes strategically important for us to having some agreements in defense sector as well. So with all this, the trade has been growing from 39 million to, in 2022, it's nearly 50 billion currently. And the target set by both Australia and India, Mr. Piyush Goyal ji, who is the Commerce Minister from India, as well as Don Farrell, who is the Trade Minister of Australia, they have agreed that by 2030, we want to achieve $100 billion.
Wow.
So from $50 billion to $100 billion. In fact, informally, they are even talking about higher, but at least officially we can say $100 billion is the target. And I personally believe that is achievable because a number of, in fact, I've been listening to many of the leaders. It's not only my view. I mean, I wouldn't say that I'm only sharing that view. It's from the leaders who are implementing these policies, government of India as well as from the trade ministers and their offices, and they have been working. And in fact, the Department of Foreign Affairs have established a Center for Australia-India Relations. So with all this, what is happening is the Indian migrant community is getting more visibility about this trade, and equally the Australian businesses are also getting a good visibility. Coming to your specific point of how the Indian community can get benefited is exactly with this growth. So when we are identifying a growth of 50 billion to 100 billion, you can imagine if you dissect into number of industry sectors, just to give some examples, like a clean energy and then agri-business, then we have tourism and hospitality sectors, and also health and pharmaceuticals. And apart from these sectors, we are also coming with new areas, new sectors. For example, textile, there's a lot of opportunity. Defense and security. And also now even space, because after the Chandrayaan achievement from India, India can, certainly boast about the capabilities. And I was attending this conference in space about the space program in Adelaide a year back. And the Indian Space Research Organization had a stall there, and
we feel very proud of
very proud of it. And but important thing is the capabilities of Indian companies in the space can be an advantage to the Australian space industry as well. So the collaboration and partnerships opportunities are emerging. Now there is a concept called the green hydrogen. So because we are also working, both Australia and India are working towards net zero capabilities. So both our visions is to achieve the net zero. So from that point of view, green hydrogen is important. Australia has got electric vehicles. India also has got electric vehicles. So where is opportunity? I mean, in terms of complementing each other's technologies and bringing down the cost of production, etc. So, and then if you see even the energy side, there are like a smart grid technologies and energy storage pumps and things like that. So there's plenty of opportunities between India and Australia. So that's where the skilled migrant community in Australia can identify certain projects to promote trade between India and Australia and also get benefited from them. They can even establish a startup. Startup is a
Can you give some example of this one? Like if, for example, any person wants to start a business and want to take benefit of this India-Australia trade agreement.
Yeah.
Is there any example you can share for any business?
There are, in fact, I would say one or two examples which are coming to my mind is in the pharmaceutical industry. There's a company based in Melbourne who have been making pharmaceutical products, and products have been approved by the TGA here. Production of some of these medicines, this company has also established some, facilities in India and manufacturing the medicines and getting it approved here. Pharmaceutical industry is estimated something like $15 billion. So there is a great opportunity for Indian companies to manufacture medicines and pharmaceutical products and get it approved in Australia. So that way, startups can look into that.
I'm sure it is beneficial for both the countries.
Both the countries. And in fact, the idea of the Make in India is, as Prime Minister said, it's not only India which is getting benefited. It is the other countries which will be benefited.
So I'm going a little bit more deeper in this one. Yeah. Now. So in terms of this trade agreement, like for example, if there is no trade agreement, then how it happens? Like is there any way like a business can go there and still like manufacturing can be done in India if there is no trade agreement?
Yeah.
So what is the extra benefit they are getting?
Absolutely, you are touched on the very important point. One point which is significant in the ECTA, which is the Economic Trade Cooperation Trade Agreement signed in 2022, was they have agreed to reduce the tariffs between the two countries. In fact, when I went through the list, it is running into pages. The tariff reduction, tables, which is extending to many from A to Z of the commonly traded items. They have both Australia and in India have reduced the tariffs more than 90%.
More than 90%.
Yeah. So in fact, some of them are zero. In fact, quite a majority of them are also from zero.
That means there are no taxes at all.
There are no tariffs.
Tariffs, okay. Yep. Tariffs. How it's different from taxes? Tariff and
taxes. See, tax is a different thing. When you tax are all individual country oriented. Like India has got its own tax regime. Australia has got its own tax regime. But what is important is when you are, to give an example, mangoes, which are coming from India, and then huge tariff, and that you can see on the market how it is affecting the end user price. But if there is no tariff, it will be with minimum profits.
So tariff means import duty.
Import duty. Yep.
So import duty of the product has been substantially reduced with this trade agreement.
Yeah. And in fact, they want to achieve by 2026 even more tariff reductions.
I'm sure like many people, they don't know because even some of my clients, they don't know about the trade agreement which has been signed between India and Australia, just like other countries.
So that is a big advantage. And this is, again, because of the political equation between India and Australia at the moment, a good climate and good support and good rapport. Geopolitical situation happening in other countries at the moment. And also the tariff discussions happening in other countries is not affecting the India-Australia relation.
That's right.
And then automobiles, it is very proud to see Mahindra automobiles on Channel 9 advertisements. It's so good that you see a product. And so like that, if there are more products, more visibilities, more companies coming here, from Indian companies to be visible in Australian market, it is good for them.
That is all because of this trade agreement.
They should take the advantage of this. See, I'll tell you another thing. There is a lot of opportunities for Indian giants to make some investments in Australia. It's also, when I say bilateral, it is not one-sided. As I was talking to one of the premiers some years back, and they said exactly the same thing. And they said it has to be a two-way traffic. It cannot be one-sided, which is absolutely true.
And what section of this agreement you think needs to be improved?
Australia has got a number of good universities, and still our migration policies are student-friendly. It can be even more friendlier in terms of, making it attractive for the international students, because we have a window of opportunity. Because Indian students at the moment, they may have some restrictions going to other countries other than Australia. I don't want to say that those countries. They have some problems in going to other countries. So now coming to Australia has got a window of opportunity, which Australian universities also should look into that, and also the government also should support that kind of educational partnership. The other area which requires improvement, in my opinion, is business migration. Because we have the skilled people who are required here. So if there is a pathway of either using the skilled students here and then providing them a migration path which is legally acceptable in a big way. So that could be another way, because you have to match the educational policy with the migration policy. You have to map it in a way which is beneficial. Because if you allow thousands and thousands of students and then asking them to go back as soon as they finish, then perhaps we are not using their skills in an effective manner. It is possible that some of them would like to contribute to Australian economy as well as Indian economy. What I'm trying to say is find a smart way of using the international students and get them for the benefit of Australia.
And do you think the businesses who are in India and wanted to invest in Australia, there was previously there was a pathway for business migration which is currently on hold. From last 4 years, we haven't seen many approvals in that business migration. So do you think that putting that hold on that business migration is affecting the growth between that India-Australia?
I'm not an expert in the migration space, but all that I can say is if something is a stumbling block, please look at it. That's what I would appeal to the ministers, concerned ministers or concerned government, to look at this and see, okay, what can be done? Because when you're talking about achieving $100 billion, and we have to find all kinds of methods to achieve that. So this can be one of the things, like improving the business migration or encouraging more investment opportunities for Indian companies, giving them some incentives. I mean, why would they come to Australia without any incentives? So these are some of the things which need to be considered by either the state government or the federal government or jointly. So this is something for the governments to look into.
How do you think that the Indian community specifically, because it's an India-Australia trade agreement, how the Indian community in Australia can help getting this relationship better or bringing more business?
It's a very important question what you have asked. And we are something like a 4 billion, if I'm not wrong. I don't know. I saw million people in Australia. Do something for both the countries. You're doing something for your Janmabhoomi, which is India, and one for Karmabhoomi, which is Australia. So you take one project. I can quote a personal example of when Arun Jaitley ji was the previous Commerce Minister. He was the looking after the Make in India program, and when he came here, I did ask him, "Sir, as an Australian Indian, what can I do?" And he said, "Take one project and do a good job." Anyone can think about doing something between Australia and India.
So without taking any name, can you give me any example of any of your colleague, friend, or anyone that what kind of project they started and where they are at the moment?
As I said, we have seen great examples of the pharmaceutical industry they have taken up, and they have made a success, huge success. Some of them are into garment business, textile business, and some of them are in the hospitality business. We are very proud to see some high achievers directly in even in Sydney. For example, there is a smart center, University of New South Wales. There is a smart center, which is headed by Professor Veena Sahajwala. And it's a world-renowned technologies in sustainability, and that is being looked into from a commercialization of those technologies.
There's a couple of more questions I'll ask you.
Yeah.
Because this is being promoted by both the countries.
Yeah.
And what I see, because when the governments are involved, they are promoting something, and businesses, they also want to get into it. Is there any specific grants or any benefit from the government side in terms of the growth of the business or the startup for a new entrepreneurs or new people?
There are a number of agencies like Austrade and also the Department of Foreign Affairs. They have also got some grants.
But there is a possibility that people can take grants.
People can take advantage,
and then they can,
as long as they qualify for those eligibility criteria. If you look for the opportunity, it is there.
Of course, but not every person is a business minded. So most of the people, they want to just do a job and work. But in terms of a startup, if I want to ask you, if they want to invest in India, what I understood is it's mainly manufacturing. That if you have a product, you can get it manufactured in India and then bring that product and sell in here. Like the import duty, export duty, there are tariffs which has been reduced and they can get benefit out of it. Now, in terms of a small scale, like for example, if somebody is setting up a retail chain, like they want to set up 20 stores here, like bringing a lot of products and a lot of products from India. So the tariff is no more, or maybe reduced. So they can use that agreement to bring those products or import those products from here and sell it here duty free or at a very reduced cost. What in terms of a small business, like when you say somebody needs to do a small project, what is your recommendation of that project, that what a person can start if they don't know anything, if they are from a service industry?
There are industries. See, fortunately, Australian Business Council has been engaged with a number of industry bodies like the Invest India, Federation of Indian Chamber of Commerce, Confederation of Indian Industries. Then you have Trade Promotion Council of India and things like that. So all these associations, all these trade bodies have sector-wise capabilities in terms of experts promoting small to medium enterprises. There's also small-scale industry associations in India. There are business chambers in each one of those cities, like for example, Maharashtra Chamber of Commerce, Indo-Australian Chamber of Commerce, and that kind of bodies are also there. So we can facilitate anyone who is starting this to put on to the right people. And there are a number of delegations who also come here from India. So it's when they come here, the person who is interested in starting the business can meet them and see what facilities can be extended to them. So that's another opportunity. Another big avenue, International Convention Center hosts a number of industry-specific exhibitions and trade seminars. In fact, I attended last 2 months two big events. One is on smart energy, the other one is on construction. And I'm a bit disappointed in not a big presence of Indian companies in the construction show, which is the biggest, perhaps the biggest in this part of the world. And I've seen other countries' representations, but not from India. So there's opportunity for Indian companies to consider some of participating in some of these trade shows. So unless you are physically visible, it is also true for Australian companies to be physically visible in India. So be visible to the businesses, and the opportunities will be not one or two, it will be huge.
So, in order to explore these opportunities, what should be the first point of contact? Where should they first go?
I think they can definitely get in touch with, in fact, they can become a member of the Australia-India Business Council, because, it gives them visibility across a number of events which are happening in a number of different sectors. A number of people who are coming from India, there's opportunities to network. And even within every event, there's opportunity to meet other members. Because when I meet with you, and if there is a exchange of views which can benefit to setting up a new business, it can result into a new venture. So people don't have to travel to India, but definitely it can happen here. Networking is a very important thing within this kind of things, business networking. So Australia-India Business Council has been providing for us more than 35 years these kind of avenues, and so many people have been benefited. That's a good starting point, I would say. Like that, there are a number of other bodies also, but I think since I'm coming from Australia, India Business will strongly recommend that to become a member and get benefited. In day-to-day life, if you see, what we buy for our own household, for example, I bought recently a
Vacuum cleaner.
vacuum cleaner, and when I looked at the label, it was made somewhere else, outside Australia. I don't want to say the name of the country, but I cannot help thinking, why can't we make in India and bring it here? When Australia and in India have these capabilities, why not we look at these closer opportunities of getting the day-to-day items, engineering goods and things like that is one thing which I strongly would recommend people looking with engineering background to look at those opportunities. If you look at any of these industrial houses which are there, and most of the products are made not necessarily in India. So if you want to look at the opportunity, these are the places you can go and see and find the opportunities.
And there are thousands of items, like whatever you can build in India and just bring it here, and then you can market it.
Yes. Yeah. So why not we use it and for our own benefit? So that's something which it's always a question in my mind.
I'm sure we will have some emerging businesses after this podcast, and people will definitely go and join the Australia-India Business Council and take benefit out of it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Viswanathan ji. Thank you so much for your time today. And we are very glad that you came today and explained about India-Australia trade relationships. And I'm sure it will benefit many, many Indian community and even the Australian community people as well.
Yeah. And most importantly, I think, slowly, I think we should develop a passion. That's very important, because unless you have a passion, we may not be able to achieve what we want. So it's again personal, but I would appeal to have some kind of a passion.
Thank you so much. That was a very helpful session, and I think that will be helpful for many business communities or the people who want to start a new business and want to get benefit of India-Australia trade agreement. This is Mr. Vish Viswanathan, who is Industry Chapter Chair from Australia-India Business Council. So this was the session regarding the India-Australia trade benefits that you can take. This is Manmohan Makkar from Oswald Lawyers, and this is your own show, Legal Mangal. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you.